It was funny, we were talking before the podcast started about going to a seminar and someone asking how many men here feel vulnerable.
Mm-hmm.
And like no one's putting their hand up. Mm-hmm. How many women here feel vulnerable?
Mm-hmm. All the hands went up.
All the hands went up. Mm-hmm. And I mean, part of it I think is a little delusional because I think a lot of men are way more vulnerable than they really think they are. Yeah. But also there's just a different thing going through life. I mean, there's that expression, the fair sex, but being a female, being a woman, means you're physically different.
Yep.
You're around a bunch of people that most of them could beat you up.
Yep.
You know, that's.
Yep. It's a different way to walk through the world.
That vulnerability, though, that creates another level of anxiety, right? Like walking down a dark street, you see someone and it's a man and he's walking down the dark street too. You're like, oh boy, you know?
Yeah, it's scary, and it's something that, you know, I as a woman, like I'm always aware of it. Not always, but a lot of the time, you know, because I know that, like you said, I could get beaten up. Like if it's between me and a man, he's probably going to win. I mean, I'm pretty strong, but not that strong. And but I think what's also beautiful about women and just the feminine in general is that vulnerability. But because like it sometimes doesn't feel safe, I think that's why a lot of women like kind of have a protective armor and are guarded, and sometimes more in their like masculine energy in the world, is because on some level we feel like we have to like protect ourselves. And whereas that vulnerability really is the thing that makes us women in so many ways. And I think we confuse vulnerability with weakness. Because vulnerability to me is being open, being available, being soft but not weak. Weakness to me is more about kind of going into the victim-y and going into the poor pitiful me and the feeling sorry for and on all of those kinds of things. I think there's beautiful power in vulnerability. But when we're talking about just physical strength, yeah, I mean, for the most part, men have the advantage on that one. It's just...
we need all the pieces.
Right.
You need the whole spectrum of human beings.
Right.
And, you know, I mean, especially in terms of, you know, the traditional way of looking at things, you know, masculine men are attracted to feminine women and feminine women are attracted to masculine men, and we both need each other. But a lot of times, especially when you're dealing with damaged folks, you're dealing with a man who has a vulnerable woman, and the man's all fucked up, so he takes it out on the vulnerable woman, and the vulnerable woman is like under the, you know, the pressure of the relationship or the suppression of being connected to this man. And so you're kind of dealing with the same dynamic that you were dealing with when you were in school, where someone's bullying you, and you get it in this relationship then, instead of someone appreciating you for the difference in the softness versus the hard, the yin and the yang. Now you have someone who's exploiting that.
Right.
And you see it with women too. You know, you see it with like aggressive women and weak men.
Yep.
That is, to me, one of the saddest things I ever see.
I know.
Is when you find the aggressive women and the weak men. Probably because I'm terrified of it ever being me. You know?
I don't think it will be. I don't think.
But I mean, if it was, you know, nobody wants that. No. You know, nobody wants the woman who's yelling at you and the guy's like, okay.
No, but that happens a lot. Like I see that a lot, and it's kind of crazy to me because, you know, I see women emasculate men quite often. You know, not maybe on like a huge scale to the degree you're talking about, but just like the little comments. Like I'll be out with a couple, and the woman will say something, and it's kind of emasculating. But if the roles were reversed, and the guy said something like that to the woman, I don't know if it would go over. You know, guys just kind of take it on sometimes. And then when I see that, I'm like...
Well, a lot of men feel emasculated by society in general, just by the roles that they play in the office and the physical act of going through life, this civilized world, and also constantly needing people's affirmation, needing people's acceptance, and you sort of become what people want you to be, even if that's not what you want. You get in these relationships, and you see it all the time where guys sort of accept a little bit, and then they accept more, and then they don't want to mess up, and then I have a bunch of friends that have like really domineering, overbearing wives or girlfriends, and it's weird. It's weird to be around them. Like, dude, you know you can leave. Like, you just like this is just a person.
Why do you think they don't?
Because they're scared. They're scared, and it becomes the thing. You know, that's the thing. This is the thing. I go, oh, the fucking wife. I gotta go home to the wife.
Yeah.
You know, and it's very strange. It's very strange when you have someone in your life that's essentially like a parole officer.
Yeah.
Someone in your life that gets to tell you what to do, and you're not allowed to do certain things. You're not allowed to watch certain things or like certain things, and they control you and they own you. I mean, and I think a lot of these people that are doing that, much like the girl who bullied you or anybody who does that to someone, they do it out of fear. They do it out of insecurity, and they also do it out of this bizarre instinct because they can.
Yeah.
I used to date this girl. She wasn't a bad person, but she used to like to fight, and I do not like that kind of conflict. I don't like in a relationship conflict.
Yeah.
I don't like it. I don't fight. I don't argue. I just rather leave. I'm like, I'm into discussing things, but when people start yelling and get crazy, I'm like, fuck this.
Yeah, it doesn't go anywhere.
I grew up around domestic violence too. I grew up with so I saw it when I was a kid. I'm not interested. And so we broke up, but we stayed friends. And then years later, we went out to coffee. I'm like, how's everything? What's going on? Oh, I'm living with this guy. It's not going good. I'm like, why? She's telling me how she yells at this guy and she can't help it. She's like, I can't help it. I just fucking yell at him and he doesn't do anything. He just takes it. And she's like, when he takes it, I just want to fucking smash him. Yeah. She's like, I just can't. She goes, I don't want to yell at him, but I can't help doing it. And then when he's gone, I'm like, why the fuck did I do that? And she had this weird, almost like a natural impulse to dominate this guy. Like, have you ever seen two dogs where one dog has the upper hand on the dog, and he'll go near the dog like, and the other dog, and that's just their world. Yeah. That's just their world. Yeah. The other dog never gets a chance. And sometimes it's not even a size-based thing. Like, they might be the exact same size dog. Just one dog just decides it's the bitch, and the other one's the dominator, and that's just how it goes.
Right.
Well, she was in this position with this guy where she just had this compelling desire to fucking yell at him. And I go, well, what are you yelling at him for? She's like, anything, everything. She goes, I want him to tell me to shut the fuck up.
Yeah. She wanted him to outman her.
Yeah, but isn't that crazy? Like, what a bizarre instinct. Yeah. To push, like, she was frustrated at herself. She was frustrated at him, but it's almost like she was compelled, like she was being drawn to the great magnet. You know, it's like, oh, I can't help it. I'm going to scream at him. Right.
Well, it's interesting, like, how we project onto other people, you know, like something was going on inside of her that was like creating that dynamic in him. And she could have left at any time, but it was like she was so trying to get a reaction out of him, honestly, to probably see if he cared. Like, she probably equated, all right, well, him taking it means he doesn't care. So how much can I push? How much can I push? Much can I push so that I can see that he'll react enough? Because that made me.
Do you think that's what it is, that she didn't think he cares, or do you think she just thinks he's weak and it's just frustrating to her that he's weak?
Well, if it was just that, I think she would have left a lot earlier. There was something she wanted. Like, we don't keep doing it over and over and over again unless there's something we're attached to getting. Like, you know, when we're like, oh man, this is stupid, we get out of there. But when we find ourselves in situations where it's like, it's happening over and over and over again, and we continue to get frustrated, but we're not leaving. There's something we're attached to trying to get from our behavior. So there was something she wanted in that. There was something in it for her. Otherwise, she would have been out of there a lot sooner.
I wonder. It was also, she was trying to do the acting thing, and she was constantly frustrated.
Yeah.
She was constantly
just taking it out on him.
Yeah. Well, it would be really interesting. Like, I'd watch these like almost sort of manic things. Like, there would be these moments where, you know, she would be preparing for an audition and she'd be hopeful yet nervous. There was a lot of anxiety and there was all this, here's the thing, and the thing's gonna go, and hopefully if this happens, this guy's connected to this and that's gonna happen with that, and then boom, it didn't happen. And so there's this massive letdown. There's just cigarette smoking and depression and, you know, all this angst.
Yep.
And I got the fuck out of there. But this dude, got in there, like, and he caught, you know, the second wave of angst.
Yeah.
When I met her, she was just moving here.
Yeah.
And so she wasn't completely bewildered by the experience and the machine yet.
Yeah.
And it's also, I think, for some people, choosing things that you do for a living that are healthy for you. I think there's a lot of people that get involved in careers that require too much of their time. You don't really want to do it, but you get caught up in it, whether it's being a lawyer or
Right.
being a doctor or being something that has a prestigious title where you feel like there's something great, but really in the back of your mind, there's something else that you probably would be way happier doing.
I mean, that was me. I was going after it for the wrong reason.